Listen, let me tell you a story. A story that will stay with you long after I finish talking. It starts with a pot, a simple clay pot, falling, crashing to the floor. The sound was loud, sharp, like a warning bell. Food spilled everywhere. Steam rose up into the air, hot, angry. Ada stood there, frozen. Her hands were still up in the air, like she was trying to catch something that was already gone, already broken, too late. And then, standing in the doorway, filling up the whole space with his body, his shadow, was Kola, her husband. Big Kola, strong Kola, the kind of man who made people afraid just by walking past them. He did not shout, not yet. And that silence, that terrible quiet, it made the room feel tiny, like the air was being sucked out, like the walls were closing in. You were told to wait. His voice was low, calm, too calm, the kind of calm that means danger is coming. Ada opened her mouth, maybe to explain, maybe to apologize. Then she closed it again, because with Kola, explanations never helped. Never. She took a step back, away from him. Her heel touched the wall behind her. Nowhere else to go. Trapped. And Kola, he moved closer, slow, very slow, like he had all the time in the world, like a cat moving toward a mouse. A wooden stool was in his way. His foot kicked it hard. It scraped across the floor. Loud, so loud that people outside heard it. Neighbors, they stopped talking, stopped moving. They listened, then pretended they heard nothing, nothing at all. Ada's breathing changed, fast now, shallow, scared. She kept her eyes looking down at the floor, and in her head she counted 1, 2, 3, the way she always did when he got angry, when the danger came close. Kola's hand moved fast. It hit the wall right next to her head, not her face, the wall, but so close, so very close. The bang made her jump, made her whole body flinch. Even the house seemed scared. Even the walls knew what happened here, what always happened here. And they stayed standing, not because they wanted to protect her, just because, just because that is what walls do. Then it was over. Just like that. Kola stepped back, like nothing happened, like nothing important just took place. He fixed his clothes, that expensive robe he wore, gold and burgundy, rich colors, shiny. He adjusted his gold rings on his fingers, smooth, calm. Then he walked out, out into the evening, into the village, his head high, like he owned everything. Ada, she slid down, down the wall, slowly, until she was sitting on the floor right there next to the broken pot, the spilled food, food that could not be saved now. Her hands were shaking, trembling as she tried to pick up the pieces, to clean the mess. Outside, life went on, normal. People laughed somewhere far away, somewhere safe. But inside this house, Ada sat very still, knowing something, knowing that this was not the end, not an ending at all. This was just the beginning. This was how things always started, over and over and over again. Now, let me tell you about Kola. Really tell you who this man was. Kola was the kind of man, the kind whose footsteps changed everything around him. When he walked through the village square, through the market, with all its bright colors, cloth sellers, food sellers, busy people everywhere. When Kola walked through, things changed. Conversations got quieter. Laughter stopped. Even grown men, big, strong men, they suddenly found other things to look at, other things to do. Anything, just not look at Kola. He was big, tall, muscles, and loud, so loud. He was completely sure of himself, sure of his place in the world. And strength. What did strength mean to Kola? Not just muscles, no. Strength meant control, power over others, being the boss, always. The village elders, the old wise men, they let Kola do what he wanted, because he was useful sometimes. When there were problems, fights, he could help. The younger men, they looked up to him, they admired him. Why? Because fear, you see, fear can look like respect. It can trick you, make you think people respect you when really they are just scared. And the women, oh, the women learned fast, very fast. They learned that staying quiet, saying nothing, that was safer than telling the truth. Much, much safer. Where Kola was, silence was survival. At home, in his house, Kola believed the same things. Marriage. What was marriage to Kola? Not love, not partnership, not two people together. No. Marriage was order, rules, control. A wife. What was a wife supposed to do? Listen, obey, endure, stay small so the husband could feel big, important, powerful. Ada, his first wife, she fit perfectly into this terrible idea. She was gentle, soft voice, quiet. She was raised, taught from when she was a little girl that patience was good. Even when patience hurt, even when it broke your heart, even when it killed your spirit, still be patient. The village people noticed things. Yes, they saw how Ada's smile disappeared slowly, like the sun going down. How she stopped going to the river with other women to fetch water, to talk, to laugh. How she jumped, flinched whenever anyone raised their voice, even if it was not at her. They noticed all this. But here's the thing. Noticing is easy, very easy. You can see something and do nothing. Speaking up, taking action, that is hard. And nobody spoke. Nobody did anything. Ada carried her pain quietly, the way water is carried in a pot, carefully, silently, the way many, many women before her were taught to carry pain since they were little girls. She believed something. She truly believed that if she tried harder, if she was calmer, if she obeyed faster, then peace would come. Eventually, someday, peace would arrive. Some nights, after Kola fell asleep, she sat alone, just sat, staring at the walls, in the dim light from the small lamp, wondering, when did love change? When did it turn into something you had to survive instead of something you enjoyed, something you enjoyed? She never shouted back at him, never. She never ran away. She stayed. Why? Because staying, enduring, that was what she was taught. That is strength. That is what strong women do. They stay, they endure, no matter what. That is what they told her. That is what everyone believed. The village watched her fade away, watched her get thinner, weaker, like cloth left in the sun too long until it tears, falls apart. When she got sick, people whispered, "Oh, poor Ada, so sad." But they didn't help, not really. And when she died, when her body finally gave up, finally stopped, those same people shook their heads. Life is not fair, they said, as if bad things just happen, by accident, as if nobody was responsible, as if it was just fate. Kola cried at the funeral. Oh, he cried, loud crying, dramatic, tears rolling down his face, like he lost the love of his life, like his heart was broken. He performed like an actor in a movie, so convincing, and nobody challenged him. Nobody said anything. In that silence, something bad was proven, something dangerous. Kola learned a lesson, the wrong lesson, that a wife could be broken, replaced, forgotten, and life just goes on like nothing happened. It didn't take long, not long at all, before Kola decided, I need another wife.
He sat with the village elders, the old men, under the big tree where important decisions were made. A home without a woman, he said, is messy, disorganized, chaotic. He told them, I want someone quiet, someone who knows nothing about the village, nothing about the rumors, the stories, the history. Someone from far away, someone who knows nothing about Ada, nothing about what happened here. The elders nodded fast. They agreed quickly. Why? Because they were relieved, happy even, that Kola was not choosing their daughters, their granddaughters, anyone from their families. So they made arrangements, fast, very fast, the way things happen when a powerful man wants something, when people are too afraid to say no. Zara arrived one morning, early, when mist was still on the ground, covering everything like a blanket. Her eyes
Watching everything. Her back straight, confident. She greeted people politely, respectfully, but she watched more than she talked. She observed, studied. Some people thought she was shy. Others thought she was proud, maybe arrogant even. Kola, he saw what he wanted to see. A woman who would not challenge him. A woman who would be quiet, who would obey easily, quickly. He did not ask about her past, where she came from, what her life was like before. And she told him nothing, offered no information, nothing at all. What Kola did not know, could not possibly know, was that Zara had done her homework. She had asked questions, lots and lots of questions, before agreeing to marry him. She asked, she listened, and she remembered every single thing. At first, Zara played her part perfectly, like an actress on a stage. She woke up early, before the sun rose. She kept the house clean, spotless. She spoke softly when people were around. Gentle voice, respectful. The village relaxed. People said, finally, Kola found the right kind of woman, the right wife. He felt like a winner, like he proved something, like the problem was never him, never his cruelty, his anger, his violence. No, the problem was just bad luck, wrong wife before. But now he had the right one. But inside the house, when nobody else could see, something changed. Small things, subtle. Zara asked questions, innocent questions that landed heavy, hit hard. She remembered things Kola said, things he forgot he said, contradictions, lies. She did not argue, she did not fight, but she did not shrink either. She did not make herself small. And that confused him more than anything. Kola started to feel strange, uncomfortable in his own house. His voice got louder, shouting more, but not because he felt strong, because he felt uncertain, confused. Why was she not afraid? Why was this woman not scared like Ada was? Zara met his anger with calm, complete calm, like still water, and that confused him even more, made him even more uncomfortable. When he tried to control her the old way, with threats, with loud voice, with his sighs, she responded with patience, but it felt planned, practiced, like she knew exactly what she was doing. Slowly, very slowly, like the sun coming up in the morning, he realized something scary, something terrifying. She was not learning about him. She already knew him, everything about him, already. And that thought, it got under his skin, like insects crawling, made him restless, nervous, in ways he did not understand, did not know how to fix. One evening, Zara said a name, out loud, just once. Ada? The room went silent, completely silent, like all sound was sucked out. Kola froze, like he turned to stone, could not move, could not breathe. She did not shout, did not accuse him with anger. She just spoke, calm, like she was talking about the weather, about simple facts, things that were true, whether he liked it or not. I knew, she said, what kind of man you are. I knew before I married you, before I became your wife. I heard about Ada, everything about her, how she lived, how she suffered, how she died, everything.
And I came here prepared, not to fight you with my hands, not with violence, but to beat you with truth. Kola's mouth opened, then closed. No words came out. His blood felt cold. You? You knew everything? Yes, Zara said, her voice steady, strong. I knew it all. From that moment, everything began to shift. Real power, true power, started to move, like a river changing direction. Zara talked to the village women, down by the river, where they fetched water, where they washed clothes. She asked questions. To the elders, in public, where others could hear. She reminded people, gently, carefully, of things they tried to forget, things they pushed away, deep down, because remembering was uncomfortable, painful. Remembering meant admitting they did nothing. They saw and they did nothing. She said Ada's name at the market, casually, naturally, and people's faces changed. Their eyes shifted, looked away. Kola, who had lived on silence for years, who needed silence to stay powerful, now found himself exposed, revealed by memory. His strength, that everyone thought was unbreakable, started to look weak, fragile, like old wood that might snap any moment. And the village, slowly, started to see what was always there, waiting for someone brave enough to say it out loud. Kola noticed, he felt it, before anyone said anything out loud. Things were different, changed. Men in the village, they did not laugh at his jokes anymore, not like before. They smiled, polite smiles, but their eyes were different, cold, calculating, judging. Women, they did not run away when he came near. They did not rush off. They just continued, whatever they were doing, calm, not bothered, not scared. When he walked into a group, conversation stopped, but not from fear, not this time, from something else. Thought, calculation. They were thinking, deciding. Zara had not done anything big, no drama, no accusations shouted in the square. She just talked, calmly, consistently, every day, a little bit, and people, slowly, started connecting dots. Dots they ignored before, on purpose. Kola felt it everywhere. The elders, they listened to other people now, not just him. His words, they were not final anymore. People questioned him, gently, politely, but still they questioned. And that was dangerous, very dangerous for a man like Kola. At home, things flipped completely, upside down. Zara did not move around him like a shadow, like something trying to hide. No, she took space, her space. She sat where she wanted, stood where she wanted. No apology, no asking permission. When Kola raised his voice now, shouting, she stayed sitting, did not move, did not flinch, calm as still water. When he threatened her, tried to scare her, she asked him politely to repeat himself, slowly, like she didn't hear, like his anger was just noise, nothing more. The man who lived on fear, who fed on other people being scared, he was starving now, hungry, because anger without power, without control, it's loud, very loud, but empty, hollow, like a drum with nothing inside. And for the first time in his whole entire life, Kola felt small, tiny, inside his own house, inside his own body. Memory moved through the village, quiet, like smoke. You cannot see it clearly, but it goes everywhere, under doors, through cracks. The women started talking to each other, quietly at first, voices low, careful, then louder, stronger, braver. They talked about Ada, about the bruises they saw on her arms, her face, that they pretended not to see, about the crying at night that they heard and ignored, about how easy it was, how simple, to mind their own business, to look away, to do nothing. Zara never pushed them, never forced them to talk. She just listened, really listened, with her whole attention. She let the guilt come up, naturally, on its own. Because guilt that you force on people, they fight it. They get defensive, angry. But guilt that comes naturally, that they see themselves, that can become something else. Determination, resolve, change. The elders, the old wise men, They couldn't pretend anymore, cannot say they didn't know. Too many stories, all sounding the same. Too many details, all connecting, all true.
Kola felt it, felt everything slipping away. He tried, one more time, to take back his power, his authority. Under the big village tree where everyone gathered, elders, men, women, young people, everyone. He stood tall, his expensive clothes shining, gold jewelry catching the light. He talked loud about who he was, what he did for the village, how fear kept order, how respect was important, how things should be, must be. But the people, they did not care. Some listened, but without fear. Some looked bored, checking the sky, watching children run and play. Some yawned, tired. Some walked away, just left, while he was still talking. Life went on around him like he was not there, like he was nobody. His words, they had no weight, no power. Like feathers in the wind, just blowing away. A strong man, without strength, without people who believe in him, is just a man, making noise, empty noise. And Kolan knew it, felt it deep in his chest, like a heavy stone he could not remove. And there, standing to the side, quiet, was Zara. Not saying anything, not a single word. Her silence, her calm, it was louder than all his shouting, all his threats, all his big words, more powerful than anything he could say. In the village square one day, market day, busy, people everywhere, buying, selling, talking, living. Kola tried again, one last time. He stood there, in his rich clothes, gold shining. He talked about respect, about order, about tradition, about how things must be. But people, they did not care. Some listened, but without fear. Some looked bored, checking the sky, watching children run and play. Some yawned, tired. Some walked away, just left while he was still talking. Life went on, around him, like he was not there, like he was nobody. His words, they had no weight, no power, like feathers in the wind just blowing away. A strong man without strength, without people who believe in him, is nothing, just nothing. And Kola, he knew, he felt it in his bones, in his soul, his power gone, completely gone. That night, at home, in the dim lamplight, Kola sat, alone, his expensive robe not so shiny now, wrinkled, his gold rings looking cheap somehow, meaningless, empty symbols. He realized something, something that broke him, shattered him from the inside, like glass breaking. Zara, she was never afraid of him, not once, not for one single moment, not even at the beginning, when she first arrived, when she seemed quiet, obedient. It was all acting, performance. She studied him, like studying an animal from far away, safe, watching, learning patterns, behaviors, weaknesses, knowing that the storm would pass, that it had no real power over someone who was prepared, someone who was ready. That truth, it destroyed something inside Kola. His anger, it turned inward, toward himself, sour, bitter, helpless. For the first time ever, he understood. What he called strength, what he thought was power, it was never his. It only worked because other people chose to be silent, chose to be scared, chose to look away. And now, that choice, that silence, it left him
abandoned him completely. Justice came, but not like in stories, not dramatic, no beating, no chasing him out of the village, no big punishment. Justice came quietly, like morning, like dawn, slowly, gently, but completely. Kola was not chosen anymore for important things, disputes, problems, decisions. Nobody asked him his opinion, his advice. It meant nothing, carried no weight, like air. When he spoke, people listened, but differently, with caution, not obedience, not respect, just awareness, like watching something that might be dangerous, but probably isn't. He still lived there, in the village, walking the same paths, seeing the same people, but different now, stripped, naked, without the power that made him who he was, that defined his whole life. That loss, it followed him, everywhere, every day, in every look, every conversation he wasn't part of, every decision made without him. Heavier, much, much heavier than any beating, any exile, any physical punishment could ever be. Zara stayed, remained, steady, uncelebrated. Nobody threw parties for her. Nobody called her a hero. She did not ask for praise, did not demand recognition. She just lived, openly, honestly, free. She refused, absolutely refused to make herself small, ever again, for anyone. The village women, they watched her closely, learning something important, something powerful. That resistance, standing up, fighting back, it does not always roar like a lion, like thunder. Sometimes it remembers. Sometimes it waits patiently. Sometimes it just survives long enough to tell the truth clearly, without fear, without shame, just truth. Years passed, seasons changed, rains came, dry seasons came, life went on, and people still talked about Kola, still told his story, but differently, very differently. Not as a scary story to frighten children, no, as a lesson to teach, to understand. They talked about how cruelty grew like a weed because it was easier, simpler, to not see it, to look away. How silence, their silence, protected the wrong person for too long, way too long. Under the big trees, where shade protected from the hot sun, village elders, old teachers, they sat with children, young ones, eager to learn, and told them Kola's story. The children listened, carefully, but without admiration, not thinking he was cool or powerful, just facts, truth, learning. What happens when power is built on fear instead of respect? When strength means hurting others instead of protecting them? And when young women asked about Zara, when they wanted to know how did she do it, what was her secret, they were told something beautiful, something true. She did not fight with her fists, not with violence, not with fire, not with anger or hatred. She fought with something else: preparation, memory, truth, the complete refusal, the absolute rejection of being intimidated by noise, by threats, by fear. She showed everyone, the whole village, something they needed to see. That strength built on fear, on making others scared, is weak, fragile, temporary, like a house built on sand, one wave, one wind, and it falls. But strength built on truth, on clarity, on remembering, on speaking up, that strength, it lasts, it endures, it changes everything forever. In the end, what changed this village, what transformed everything, was not violence, not revenge, not punishment. It was a woman, one woman, who refused to forget, who refused to stay silent, who refused to accept that this was just how things are. And a village that finally chose to remember, chose to see, chose to speak, chose to change. So, remember this story. Keep it in your heart, in your mind. Remember Kola, who wanted a silent wife, but married his own downfall instead, his own reckoning, his own justice. Remember that true strength, real power, is not about hurting people, not about making others small so you can feel big. It is about standing firm, standing tall, when everyone else chooses silence, chooses looking away. Remember that pride, unchecked, uncontrolled, always comes before the fall. And if you ever meet someone like Kola, someone who thinks that power means controlling others through fear, through threats, through violence, just smile and tell them this story, this true story. Tell them about the man who thought he was untouchable, unbeatable, until he met the woman who proved he was just human, accountable, responsible for his actions. If this story touched you, if it moved your heart, hit that subscribe button. Join our community, our family. Because stories like this, they need to be told, they need to be shared, they need to be remembered, they need to be passed down. For Ada, for every person who suffered in silence, who endured alone, and for every person who finally found the courage, the strength to speak their truth, to stand up, to say no more.